Welcome, Rosanne Baker Thornley
Thank you.
again.
I know it's good. You just wanted to talk more. It was like
I really did.
That's all it was.
It was so great.
I know you have the other there. You're just like, no, we want to talk more.
No, I was like, okay, the universe just wants us to get to know each other a little better than we did. To say that I'm excited to talk to you again and feel like I have a renewed sense of joy just to do it just even slightly different today is good. Just a wild understatement. I'm so excited. Your singer-songwriter-ness, that's a word, right?
It is.
Is my favorite thing. So it's good that I'm talking to someone who's a singer-songwriter. But one of the things that I love about you is that when you wrote your first song at 8, you said that it's not that you were like, oh, I think when I grow up, I'll be a songwriter. You said, I am a songwriter.
Yeah.
This is who I am. So just to go back to the very beginning, tell me about how your love of music was created, how an 8-year-old decides to write a song, and kind of just give me your beginning of your songwriting career.
Wow.
And your love of music.
Well, you know what? I think my father played saxophone. He played recorder. And so music was very much a part of my life as far as it was in the house all the time. And when I think back, I think back specifically to my bedroom back when I was 8, which is funny, eh? I don't know why. I just, as I said, I just decided one day to write. I didn't play anything. So I was just coming up with ideas and writing songs. I mean, it was also the sort of the same for me with film. I remember we moved into a house, just quickly on a side note with film. And I remember my father had bought me a little portable reel-to-reel. I don't know if anybody remembers those. You might not remember, but it was a little portable, little tiny reel-to-reel that you would record on. And we were just moving into a new house. And I remember making myself like a haunted story when I would have been 11 at that point. And I even made the sounds of the spiders going up the wall with my fingers. And I just made this whole story around this empty room. And I couldn't play it because it just terrified me.
You scared yourself. It was so good. You scared yourself.
It was all the sounds and everything. It was good. So anyway, with music, it was just part of my environment, I guess. It was just, that's what I'm saying. It was just a part of me that I just explored. I just explored.
Did your father write music or he just played?
No, he just played. He played.
And so what was their thought process of they had this little, 8-year-old girl who's writing music and bringing songs to them? It was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Did they put you in any kind of lessons?
No.
Okay.
No, I was in no particular lessons. My father later started playing classical guitar, which was interesting to me at that point in time. I guess when I would have been in grade 6, you had to play an instrument in music, in school. And I picked up violin. I started playing violin in grade 6. And I loved it. I mean, I loved playing violin, but I was much ahead of the rest of the class because I remember with a friend of mine, Susan Varkey, I remember her name. We would flip to the back of the book and play some of the pieces. And by the time the teacher would come in, she'd say, okay, so now we're on page 16. So we'd flip back. Now, Susan, she went and played with the Toronto Symphony.
Wow.
So she grew up to do that. Now me, I was told, go to your bedroom, you have to practice violin and everything. And I would turn my violin sideways and strum it and sing with it.
I love that. What made you thought to do it just because your dad played the guitar, or you just wanted to see what it was sound like?
No, he wasn't playing guitar then. He wasn't playing guitar then. That was just
curiosity.
Just curiosity and strumming it. And
were you an only child?
No, I have a younger sister as well.
Like significant,
and 3 half step siblings as well. So,
but how much older are you than your younger sister?
I am 6 years older than her.
Okay, so you did have a little bit. I mean, I'm 4 years older than my next sister, and it's like I had some time to kind of develop my little person before my baby was born.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when she was born, I remember getting dressed and going to the hospital in my finest sundress with all of my jewelry because I really wanted her to be impressed with
Oh,
like how like I put myself together for her. I wanted to be beautiful for her. I wanted yeah, like I wanted her to love me because
yeah,
I already knew that I loved her
yeah.
because my mother was so kind to have a baby for me. So
I was going to
I
say it was interesting. It was just my sister's birthday a couple weeks ago.
happy birthday.
And I posted something about, I remember when they brought her home and I slept beside the crib all night because I was so happy she was there.
I mean, it gives me chills just thinking about just that kind of like that love that you have as a little kid
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're just like there's nothing in the world that I mean it's really I mean outside of loving your parents but you don't I don't feel like you have I don't feel like you have a moment where you realize that you love your parents. You just do,
Yeah.
right? But when you have a sibling, it dawns on you because here they come, you know, like if they're born, they come home. I remember my sister coming to school, like it was like family day or something, and my mother brought her and she was in the most beautiful dress and her hair was cascading
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
wonderfully. And I was like, that's my sister.
Yeah.
Everybody. So anyway, all
Yeah.
that to say,
Yeah.
you had a little bit of time before you were mothering your sister or
Yes.
loving your
Yeah,
sister
yeah, yeah.
to kind of develop your personality. And obviously, you're a very curious and also creative human from like the get go.
Very
Um,
curious.
Another thing that I know about you is that your father owned bookstores or managed bookstores.
Well, that was his love on the side. He was very much in the advertising world. And he always collecting books. He had a real passion for books, and eventually, when he sort of gave up the advertising world, because I think he just had enough of it. But he traveled quite a bit with the advertising world. Anyway, he ended up opening different bookstores. He had a number of different bookstores.
So
Yeah,
he had like a second life, a second career.
he just kind of decided he didn't want to do advertising anymore. It was just he wanted to fall more into the book world, and books were always a huge part of our lives. Like I there was always so many books. Like he had a private library of 20,000 books at one point,
Wow.
so we had a lot of books. Yeah,
Okay. Great recipe for a songwriter.
yeah, and just for loving literature and loving
Yeah.
words, right, and just having a great appreciation for them.
I can't
Yeah.
even imagine. It sounds like a Hallmark movie. Um, okay, so you started writing songs when you were 8.
Yeah.
Then you guys moved around a lot because of your dad's job. You ended up in Europe at
Yeah, well, my
14.
parents my parents separated at
Okay.
one point, and my father moved because of his advertising world. He ended up in Paris, and I moved over to Paris with him. I would have been about 14 then, I guess. And yeah, so then he was playing classical guitar at that point. He'd started before, but he was really playing quite a bit. So I started picking up the guitar because there was a guitar in the house. So I started picking up the guitar, and just some of the music I was listening to, like I was listening to Melanie. Oh my God, I love Melanie. Do you remember Melanie?
Yes.
Brand new pair of roller skates. Anyway, I listened to Melanie, Richie Havens, people like that, and I just started writing songs. And then I auditioned for a French radio station that they were having like an afternoon show they'd have on the weekends, and I was only probably 15 when I auditioned for that, and I was so nervous. I was really nervous because I hadn't really played out anywhere. I mean, I played at home,
What
and
gave you the courage to audition?
I don't know, just wanted to do it. It was like, but I was shaking. They told me to sit down. They told me because I was down in the bottom of the studio, and they were sitting above behind glass when I did this audition, and they said to me, "You might want to sit down because we can see you're quite shaken by this." So I did, and I played, and I got on the show. So then it became sort of part of my week to go do this show with these people, and I was
Wow.
singing in English, of course, back
Now,
then.
was that your introduction to performing?
Probably,
Okay.
probably. I mean, I'd sang in choirs and done things like that, but I'd never. I don't think by myself I'd done much. I'd hosted some shows when I was a kid. I used to love putting musicals together with the neighborhood kids. So I'd write them. I'd make the programs. I'd make the stage. I'd figure out what everybody's parts were. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking about that the other day, just some of those sidebars of what else went on in my life besides just the milestones. You know, it's like, well, what was
Right.
happening back then? Well, yeah, I was doing that. And so anyway, yeah, Paris would have been very much my first sort of foray into playing for people and having to play it all the way through and get it right for the most part.
Okay, so after you did it for a little while, did it give you the bug, like, I want to do this so much more because it's so amazing? Or did you like it because you were writing the songs that you
Yeah.
were performing?
Yeah.
Or were you like, I just have, there's got to be a way to do more of this?
Just more. I just wanted
Yeah,
more.
more.
Always just more. And I was always writing. Like I always write. Even now, I'm always writing stuff down.
Oh
So
my God, I love it. Okay, so then we transition into teens and
yeah.
20s, and you start traveling with some rock bands.
Yeah. So I come back to Canada. I do sort of a folk thing for a while and go, well, this is okay. You know, playing my guitar by myself and my folk songs. And it was like, well, that's okay. And then I met a boy. And the boy was a guitar player in a rock band.
This is how all the great stories start?
Right? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So guitar player in a rock band. I started singing backup for the band. There was me and the drummer's girlfriend. She was a great singer. We were kind of like, she was kind of like a Janis Joplin type, and I was more the Grace Slick type. So we were both singing backup for this rock band. So we did that for a while. And then the guitar player and I started our own band.
Okay, which band was that? Here, I've got it written down. Bakersmith, Night School, or
No,
Daystar?
what was that? That would have been way back then. Would have been Baker Smith.
Bakersmith. Okay.
That would have been big because he was Smith and I was Baker. So we did that. We were out in Calgary at that point in time, and the music business was a little slow in Calgary. So, and I had gone out to Calgary because, okay, so another sidebar, I wanted to work with horses, but I was so young when I moved out there on my own. I moved out there when I was 17 or 18. Nobody would really hire me because I was so young. So I ended up taking on a job as a graphic artist, which plays into my later life. So I couldn't afford to go to school and all by myself because I was supporting myself at that point in time. So I got a job as a graphic artist, wanted to work with the horses. That wasn't accessible to me. But then I met the boy and started the band. And I said, I'm going back to Toronto. Like, it'd be great if you come too. That would be nice with our band. But I'm not staying here because I just don't know where this is going to go musically. Oh. So we moved back to Toronto and we had the band Bakersmith. And then we had a band, Night School and Daystar, two different bands, but a lot of original music, lots of original. We were writing all the music. This was CJ Smith and I. We were writing all the music for the band, and I was fronting the band. I mean, I couldn't wear enough black. I couldn't have enough tears. I was just rock and roll.
Okay, so what was that like as a young person traveling around touring? Are you sleeping in like a bus? Are you going to motels? Are you?
No, if the gigs you're doing, they would give you some form of accommodation.
Okay.
Yeah, we were traveling in a van. So there was me and the guys traveling in the van and doing, sort of the northern route in Ontario, doing a lot of, like we were playing 6 nights a week for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we were just following that yellow line on the highway, always playing original music. It was going well for us. We were getting booked, and we don't really ever make any money at that level in touring. And, players were switching out once in a while, but there's always CJ Smith and I, we kept the band going. And we sort of evolved to a point where now we had crew.
Wow.
Yeah, we would have had crew then. So we had a light man, sound man, stage crew as well. So that was good. That was good because, I just sort of showed up and they gave me my guitar.
Wow. I bet the difference between okay, where's that chord? The chord, no, not that one, this one. Where do you have it? I think you took it last time. You put it in your, like this whole thing where you're going, I know, and then you just walk in and you're like, all right, my hair's
here.
How's my lipstick? Right.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
So that was fun, but I gotta say that the process of doing all the work is a valuable experience to any young artist. It is, and to just life on the road, because it's not all great. It's like, well, sometimes, yes, you do. You have a full club. Sometimes you don't. You know, the bands are kind of a bit like a dysfunctional family at times. So you're working through relationships. You're working through other band members' drug problems at times. You know, just everything that it's family. It is definitely family.
Okay, so communication would be a really big thing in that environment. And if you can't communicate with one another, you're kind of doomed.
Yeah. But it's I think it's so important to go through that and to sing live and to understand the room and understand the audience and just enjoy it. Like, no matter what, it's kind of like, well, not great today, but whatever. You just enjoy the experience.
I mean, I think that's something that's going on right now, like with TikTok. You know, you have all these people that are singing into their phones with their guitar, and then you put them in front of a live audience, and they're like, "Oh, you're looking at me," and that kind of experience is completely different. I mean, you know, it's like I had the difference between, you know, I started doing a podcast where I was talking by myself. Well, I can talk to myself for a very long time, as it turns out. If I just give myself a topic, I can just go. And then it was like, okay, you have to graduate. You want to be able to talk to people. And then going to this next phase, it was like, oh, this is weird. Then doing it virtually. And then I've done it in person. I'm like, oh, you're right there. Like, you know, there's just all these just different feelings, you know, the vibe and the energy that you're having with people. I think that it would be not only important to sing live, but imperative to your growth, and that you have to be like brave enough to go, okay, I'm going to mess up in public. Do you remember a time where you really messed up and how you kind of navigated through that? I mean, I'm sure it happened more than once because we are all human, and it would be unfair if you said it never happened.
Oh, only once.
Okay, so tell me about the one time it happened. There's
one time that really stands out, and that is that my bass player, we had an original song we were doing called "I'm Tired," and for some reason, now we're in front of, this is a fairly big crowd that we're playing in front of, and he starts the song in the wrong key.
Oh God!
So that's fine. But I'm listening to it going something, because you kind of just feel your note. You don't necessarily have to hear the note. You just kind of anchored in where it is in your body.
Right.
I couldn't find the note. So now I look at him and he slides back. Oh, he realizes he made a mistake. So he slides back into the proper key, but I'm stuck now in the other key because, I mean, there's a little bit of adrenaline going on because I wanted to start my song. And now he's playing it in the right key and I try note. It's the wrong note.
Okay.
And I got people sitting there. They're right in front of me, waiting for me to sing the song. And the whole band is looking at me, and I'm going, okay, hang on. No, you know. So I try again. Still don't have the note. So now I feel like a little bit like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
You're like, what's happening?
He's saying, do you want us to stop? I'm like, nope. Nope.
Keep going.
Just keep going. So he kept playing, and now I'm trying to just slow my body down and just feel where it is again. Because it's like muscle memory to some degree, right? It's like if I can't remember lyrics sometimes, I try not to remember. I just let my body do what it's going to do.
Right.
So I finally, so now you want us to stop? No. I got it. And I sing it. And I got it. And the whole crowd cheers. Yeah, but it was, that's why when I'm working with some younger artists and they're like, what would you do in a situation like that? If you start too fast or whatever, I just stop and start over again. I mean, I had just a couple years ago when I was doing a show here, and it was a brand new song, but I wanted to play it. And I sang the first verse, all good. I couldn't remember the second verse. So I'm sitting there and going, and I've got other people again on stage with me, and they're kind of looking at me, and I say, start over. So I start over, and again, I can't get the second verse. So I finally got it, and I sang it, but that unnerved me a little bit because I write stuff with a lot of words.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I'm going to write with less words, but I never do.
No, don't. Please don't ever.
I know. So anyway,
Fill me up.
The interesting thing was people coming up to me after the show going, that was such a human moment. It was so real. Well, yeah. I didn't remember the words.
It really
And
happened to me, actually.
I'm looking at the girl beside me, and she's like, and she even said, I can't help you. I just want to rewrite it right now.
I didn't write the song.
But then I had an opportunity to play again a couple of weeks after, and people said, what would you like to play? That song.
Let me get it.
I'm going to nail it, which I did, but I didn't want to be afraid of it. It was like, I'm going to try again, and I got it.
I think that a lot of people have a hard time with failure, even more so now than in the past, to me, because we're watching people curate these perfect moments for us on social media, where it's like, wow, you sang that song so beautifully.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't sing 30 seconds. It's like they did 50 takes.
Yeah.
Trying to get the 30 seconds perfect. To not mess up with the guitar, to hit the note at the right spot, to not forget that word. Like, you don't realize there were so many takes, and I feel like that it's so important for future creators. I'm just going to say creators because I don't want to limit it to music. Whatever it is that you're creating, whether you're creating a space for somebody, whether you're creating music for them, but it's important that you are going to mess up. And it is part of the process. I feel like it's a really basic thing, but I just feel like it's hard.
Yeah, but you know what?
Because of what we're seeing in social media.
There's real power in making mistakes. Because
I mean, some people say that it's the only way to learn is to fail over and over again.
Well, it's true. I've said that it's amazing what you can do if you're not failing.
Right.
Right? Because you just go for it. But
that's what kids do.
That's what kids do. It's like there's like, oh, so I made a mistake, so I messed up, so you keep going. But I find that if you make a mistake, like I've been playing something and played the wrong note. Like I recorded something the other day, and in my haste to get it right, I played something wrong, but it was interesting, so I just kept going. Now I'm trying to relearn what I did wrong.
What was that note that I played?
Yeah, no, it's like I'm watching my fingers going, how did I play that? Because I really like what I did, but it was it was like, what? But it was definitely a mistake, but I really liked it. So, mistakes. I think mistakes are interesting to fall into, and it'll take you a different place for a second. And that's kind of cool. It's not where we expected to go.
Which I feel like is the best way to get to the next place, because when we try to curate our next move, sometimes we think that we know how it's going to go. We just we know, and then life steps in.
It's like feel. When I'm working with artists and we're writing something, for instance, I will, we may have a sketch of some lyric, but I'll say, just sing those words and then just mumble what comes intuitively to you for the last part of it. Because I want to know what they're feeling and what's just intuitively coming out of them for that last line. It doesn't mean it's right, but it means that it's a sentiment that we might want to capture.
Yeah.
Or they mumble through, or they just babble words. I mean, that's how I write sometimes. I just start playing something and I just start singing whatever is in my heart, basically.
Yeah.
And I just start saying, and I record it because I'm not in the moment of going, okay, I'll remember. I don't want to remember it. I want to just say it and move on. Yeah. So that's.
Okay. So you're doing the rock bands and you thought, I'm going to do this forever. I love it. Or?
No. Now, I was definitely in the rock band and we were playing all the time, but my want was to fall into more recording. I wanted to start recording some music. Like, we'd done demos and we hadn't really released anything, but we had a great following. We had a lot of people coming out to see us, but I was getting really tired of it at that point in time.
I mean, 6 days a week is like,
it was a lot.
Grueling.
And I was also managed by a gentleman who owned a booking agency. So I had probably every agent in that place booking me as well. So that was great. So we had great gigs and we were always playing, but I thought, I could do this forever. And I don't think this is what I want to do forever. Like, I kind of had a dream for buying a nice bottle of moisturizer and some matching towels, And then also during this, I am no longer with the CJ Smith, my guitar player. I am now sort of with my light man. who is also now turned into my road manager as well.
Of course.
But that's okay because we've been married now for, I think it's 38 years.
I love it.
Right? So obviously
It worked
good.
out.
It was good. It
Perfect.
worked out. So now I'm deciding I'm going to get myself off the road, and because I want to start working on, was that when I wanted to start working on my own music for myself? But I also knew I had to generate some income, obviously. So now the graphic design came back into play because I was always sort of doing some freelance work. I decided at that point in time to open a design firm.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course you did.
But it was words again, right? It was all about words.
Right.
It was
Right.
messaging and headlines and talking to CEOs and figuring out who they were and what they wanted to say and how we were going to do it and what it was going to look like. So I did that. And I'm working on the album at the same time. All good. And I've got a manager producer and he's wonderful.
And you got the Factor grant.
Yes, I got a Factor grant, which was great. And that was the first album called Courage. And I got pregnant, which I was fine. That was fine. It was like, I was good. I was, doing design. I was doing my album. I was doing all this. I mean, there's so many other things in there, but this is fine. We're hitting those milestones.
Right.
And I remember saying to my then manager producer, I got this. Don't worry. I got this. I got a lot of energy. I really want to do this. This is my passion. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, I've wanted to do this since I was 8 years old. Yeah. I am a songwriter.
I am. I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer, and I'm going to do this. And
I'm a performer.
We had some great opportunities in front of us. Great opportunities, which was good. And when we were recording my video for the album, so now the album's done, and it's going to come out. It's done. I've got my licensing deal with Sony, which was great, right? Got that. I got that when I was playing in New York City. I went down to represent Canada and played a place down there, and he came over and said, I know we have another deal that's on the table, but what do you think about something with Sony? I'm like, okay, why? He said, because they're here and they want to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can do that conversation. So I said, okay. So we do all of that. We get all the paperwork done. I have an amazing lawyer who's still with me to this day, Stephen Stone, which is so good. And we're all working towards the goal here. And we're filming the video. And now my daughter, she's born. And she's probably a year and a half, I guess. We've been going through all this. And my husband rides down to where we're filming the video. And this is just like such an important moment in everything that happened here. He rides down, she's on the back in the little seat. And I've got my hair, my nails, my makeup, and she's kind of looking at me. I'm like, yeah, it's me.
It's mommy.
Yeah. And we're filming a video for a song called Bird with a Broken Wing, which was the first single off my first album. And I remember them calling me back to the set. You got to come back. We got to get back to work. We got to keep filming. And I'm like, okay. And he got on the bike and he rode away with her. And in that moment, I didn't want to go back there. I didn't want to go back to the set. I wanted to just go that way. And that was the next day. I called up Sony, I guess, and said, I'd like to shelve my album for a little bit. Because you know what I didn't expect? This is what I didn't expect. And this is how important passion is to what you do, especially in something like this, where it's a lot driven by passion. And that's what you get out of it too. It's what you put in, it's what you get out. I didn't realize my passion was going to change. And when that changed, I was kind of at a loss. I wasn't going to try to muster my way through it and go, oh, well, no. It was like, I want to go that way, which is what I did. So I shelved my album and said, I was always asked if I'd write with people. And I was like, no, I write for me. I don't write for anybody else.
Was your reluctance to co-writing that it would feel uncomfortable, that it wouldn't feel like your songs, that...
I had no idea.
Okay.
I just knew that...
It was unknown?
It was unknown, and I'd co-written with my guitar partner songs. Yeah. But as far as sitting in a room writing with somebody, I was kind of like, oh, no, I don't... I'm the performer. I was the performer. Yeah. So I didn't really want to do that at that point in time. So stepped off the road. Now the design firm's, fully running. And my daughter was quite busy in her world of ballet, which was great. And there's no regrets. There's no regrets about it. It's interesting to look back on some of it though and see some of the decisions you make. But as she got a bit older and my time became a bit more my own time, I was still writing, but I wasn't really out playing. And producers were always saying, will you write with this person? I was like, no. Well, you let us know when you want to. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And kept writing. And then I had an opportunity to join up in a song challenge and write 6 songs in 6 weeks. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind doing that. I could do that. So I did that. And I wrote 6 songs in 6 weeks. And literally it was like my brain, that part of my brain kicked in again. And all I wanted to do was that.
Another pivotal moment, another transition.
Yeah, exactly. Enough to the point when I was in the car driving to the studio one day to record one of the songs I'd written, because you have to submit songs. I remember saying to myself out loud in the car, where did you go? So it was enough of a back to whoever that person was that I said something to myself out loud. So then I'd also been following this group in LA called, they were called The Matrix. And they wrote Avril Lavigne's first album with her. There was 2 writers, I believe, and a producer. And I'd been doing all these tear sheets back in the day of newspapers and magazines. I was doing some tear sheets, looking at what they were doing. And I thought, wow, that's cool to write with a young artist who knows kind of what they want to say, but they don't know how to articulate it necessarily, right? So I thought, well, that kind of sounds interesting to me. So through the challenge, I had started writing with, I had a co-write with one of the other writers in the group. It was Northeastern. And so I said to him, I would like to start doing more of this, but I would like to do that tag team kind of idea of 2 writers working with an artist. Are you interested? And he said, sure. He was in Ottawa. So he started coming to Toronto every month and we just write. And I called producers and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm primed and I'm excited about doing this. But I wasn't stepping back in as an artist. I was stepping back in as a writer. And I switched. It's funny. I was a singer-songwriter. I became a songwriter-singer, which made all the difference in the world in my brain.
I think the transition in our lives, and I think that's really why I related so much to Sorry I'm Late. And I know you've talked about it, like, sorry that I was busy doing life. But when I first heard the song, I felt like because of what I'm trying to do right now, it was like, there was no regret.
Oh, yeah.
There was no regret from, I should not have listened to your album for 2 hours before we did this. There's no regret for the way that I lived my life, but there was that moment that I had where I found myself standing in front of a mirror going, Heather?
Yeah.
Like, just what you just talked about, where I go, where have you been?
Yeah.
And I've been being a mother, and I was a wife, and I was serving family, and I was serving friends, and I was serving. And I did not even consider my own desires. And when I did, it's like the creative floodgates poured over me, where I was like, what if I, oh, I could, well, what if, and it would keep me up at night.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, what is the love of my life? Really and truly, I love my children. I love my family. But what is the love of my life? What is something that I could never tire of talking about?
Yeah.
I went music.
Yeah.
Music is that. I thought, okay. And then, and that snowballed into this thing. And so that transitional period for me, it was like, I'm not sorry I did it.
No. Because you love it, right? That's the thing. It's right. Like, you're not hating it as you're going through it. You're just doing it and going, wow, this is great. For whatever the reasons are, there's not the regret through it. You're just busy doing it. It's a busy life.
Right.
It's a busy life living other people's lives for them, which is kind of what you do a little bit, right? It's
Yes.
like, what's everybody want for dinner tonight?
Right.
Right?
What did you forget? And what can
What you
mommy get
forget.
you? And let's
Oh,
talk about that, and let's
it's
move through all this. And those things are really, really important and really matter. And I think that, you know, for you as a songwriter to come to this place where you're like, oh yes, now I'm willing to co-write. Now you've had all of this
oh
experience of
yeah.
life, so that when you are sitting down with these young people or just people who are
Just
new to
people.
music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or not new to music, just want to
Yeah.
be working with somebody different,
Yeah.
that you have all of this knowledge, experience, understanding,
Yeah. It's
and
definitely
empathy,
understanding. Yeah.
that you go, oh yeah, well, I've been through something similar, but tell me how your
Yeah.
insides felt
Yeah.
with that. And I did want to touch on that because we talked about this before. And I know that I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm jumping around, but this is something it's
Okay.
really important to me. And it's about writing, about how to be vulnerable with songwriting. And you know, we have a trend that's happening right now. Benson Boone, Hosier,
Yeah.
Noah Kahn, Teddy Swims, these men that are wildly, not really wildly, but really emoting themselves in like this, you know, kind of really wordy, lots of lyrics, lots of deep feelings. And I don't really remember a lot of that when I was growing up. I don't
Mhm.
remember a lot of men that were, I mean, singing about love, but like in this, I've had heartbreak instead
Yeah.
of, which is what I feel like it is now. I've had heartbreak. And but what it was then was, I'd be lost without you, and I've got to have you, and I need you, and I want you. But now there's this transition happening with what they're talking about. And so my question is, as you're working with these musicians, how do you help them be more vulnerable, step into that space to be able to create the music that's really evoking how they feel?
I think I gained their trust because I think about people that I'm working with. A lot of it is even when I'm not working with somebody yet, I will typically meet with people just to get to know them a bit before I step into the room to write with them. Partially because I want to know what I feel when I'm sitting with them, because I work very much off of feel. I just want to know that it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference talking to someone before they walk into a room and you say, okay, let's write a song. I mean, that's not how I do it. So most of the people, I'm trying to think of, most of the people I work with, I've built relationships with them. They're friends. They trust me. I mean, it's not unusual for somebody to say, I've never told anybody this before. And
Love
I just
that.
listen. I think I'm a good listener. I am. I know I'm a good listener, and I also know that when I'm listening, I'm not judging. I am just listening.
Which opens the door.
It does. It does. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, and I care. I do care. I'm not just getting them in to write a song and then see you later. I really do care about the person behind whatever's happening in there that we're drawing on to write about. And yeah, I think it's trust. And
It's important, if you're going to write a song for somebody, if you're going to write a song for yourself, let's just say for yourself,
yeah,
who has any interest in hearing a song that's just like, well, I wrote a song because I know that this is trending right now, and I have this special hook that I know is really working well on the TikTok. It's like, that's not what I want to hear. The
no,
songs that go viral are songs, not just the poppy hits. I'm talking about songs that really resonate with a person, where they go, God, like, how did you know that's how I was feeling? Maddie Zom wrote a song. She's a newer artist. Um, and she wrote a song called Fat Funny Friend.
okay,
And the song just goes into a lot of what people who feel larger in their bodies, who use humor to deflect, who are trying not to get made fun of. And she said everything that I think any person who's been in that situation before has ever thought.
Right.
And it went bananas on social media. And I remember having a conversation with a friend. I was like, yeah, because people relate to the story, not your
Yeah.
highlight reel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Barely, which I listened to I don't know how many times in this
Oh, yeah.
last 4 hours. I mean, or 2 hours. I was like, oh my God. It was like everything. I just, you're here and you're not here, and this is the end,
Yeah.
and I don't want it to be the end.
Yeah.
And it's it just ripped my guts out. But that's the kind of, I mean, that's the kind of songs that I want to listen to. But I feel like something that you have done so incredibly beautifully that I feel like other artists should really cling to. I mean, all they want is longevity, right? They don't want just for, well, that's what we hope they want. If you really love music, you want to do it for a long time. But what you did was you started off as an 8-year-old and like, oh, this would be fun and I want to do this. And because I'm a songwriter, I'm going to write songs. And it didn't matter that you had all of the tools.
No.
That didn't matter. It didn't matter if you had all of the lessons or all the things. Okay, I'm going to do this. Then you go and you're terrified, you do a thing, you're brave and you're bold, and you end up performing in front of other people, and then you get like, ooh, this feels kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. I like this. And then transition to kind of a different feeling, and then it's this, you know, travel all day, sing all night, 6 days a week. Here we're going, and I'm ahead of a rock band. Look at me in my cool band T-shirt and my cool band name. I'm so awesome and fun. And then transition into motherhood and family life, and then come back. It's like it didn't leave you. You
No.
were still writing, but coming back into this space. Do you feel a new renewing? I know that you had the another integral part of your life when you wrote I Am Poetry.
Yeah. That's
Um,
where I
so
decided.
tell me about that transition.
Well, so anyway, now I've decided that I'm just going to be writing for and with other people, and I'm good with that. I love being in the wings and going, you go do this. You're great. Like, I work with people who are awesome, and I love how they emote. And I was going to say that's the most important thing about, for me, with songwriting. I didn't have all the tools, but I did have some of the angst that I wanted to write about. And it was the
Right.
feelings, and it was the only way to get it out and deal with it was through words. And
Right.
whether I was writing poetry or writing songs, whatever I was writing, there's a release in that. So with I Am Poetry, I had written a song called I Am Poetry, and somebody else was going to sing it. It's a song that meant a lot to me, but I was going to get somebody else to sing it. And I had a number of different singers sing it. And every time they did, I was like, John, it doesn't feel right. And so my producer Ted said to me, Ted Onishuk, he said, oh, maybe this is your song. I'm like, nope, I am done with that. I am not going the artist route again. We'll find a singer. I ended up singing it. So I ended up singing it. And there was another friend that I used to have lunch with quite a bit. And he says, oh, so you recorded the song? I said, yeah, I'm actually thinking I might do a video. Oh, he said, oh, so okay. He said, so when's the album coming out? I said, I'm not doing an album. I'm doing one song. I said,
Right.
yep. Right. One song. So then what the reason for me wanting to do an album then was, yes, I was still writing all my own songs. And I thought when people think of me and they ask me to point them to some of my own music, I point them to my album, which is old. Courage is old. And that was me back then. But I was evolving as time went on. There's a lot of threads that are still, of course, the same. But I thought, I want to have something out there that is definitely me now.
Yeah.
Not me from then. So then I thought, then during COVID, I recorded a song called Indiana Jones. It's about staying home. It was just like, I was watching all this about people going out, and I just thought, oh my God, stay home. What's the issue here?
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. So I thought, and I called a friend of mine and I said, I've written a song, and I was sitting at my computer one day and I had all the words going through my head. I didn't ask for the song. It just started coming to me. I was like, oh, okay, I'll write this. And I wrote a song. It was all about,
For those that are struggling writing songs, you saying that might have triggered them just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it does happen that way. Yeah.
It does happen for me. It's like, it's inconvenient a lot sometimes.
Right.
So anyway, I wrote the song Indiana Jones. I called up a friend and I said, I've written this song Indiana Jones. I'm going to get online tomorrow and play it live. And I said, but man, would it ever be neat to do a video around it, eh? And she said, well, she was a videographer. Let's do a video. I said, well, what I thought would be cool is everybody I know that's at home, they could send us phone videos of what they're doing at home, and we'll just put them all together. And that's what we did.
Love.
I played, was it my daughter recorded me with my phone or something, playing some of it. And then we took all these, I watched it the other night and I was almost in tears because some people aren't there anymore. And, you know, like a friend, she was talking to her grandmother in one of the videos, and I know she's not there anymore. And there was a guy in Ethiopia painting that was a friend of the videographer. Her name's Pirko Sari. And he's not around anymore, but he was painting, and just people in my life that were sending me videos to make this video called Indiana Jones. So I did it live off the floor. I thought, no fixes, nothing. If I hit a bad note, it's just too bad. I want this to be completely authentic, which was, you know, I was like, okay, I'm putting it out there. I haven't done anything in years, but I'll do this. And I was so stressed the night before it came out. I thought, okay, is this the right thing to do? I mean, there are a couple bad notes. Anyway, it was like, whatever, just get past it. And I put it out, and we raised money for the Global Food Bank. I picked a cause and called them up and said, I'm doing this song, and we'd like to align with, you know, your endeavors in food banks and raising money for people for food. So $1 is worth $10. So all this thing I learned about it. So Indiana Jones. And as I said, then I decided, yeah, maybe I should apply for a factory grant. And I did.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
And then
and you got your friends got to be going. I thought you said you weren't going to do it out.
I know.
I thought you said you were done with that. Like, listen, I am a creative person. I do not like to be held to my word when it comes to creative things,
change.
because I don't know how I'm going to feel.
Exactly. But that's so true. It's funny, but it's true, isn't it?
It's so true. I feel we are really run by our emotions. And for some people that's difficult. But what I have learned in the last 7 years is I used to apologize for being too much. I am sorry that you need less, but please go find it. I am not that for you.
No.
I am excited. I am proud to weep and cry over a song and listen to it 82 times in a row on a Tuesday because it just got me good. Barely is getting added to the list because I'm telling you, I was like, hold on, let me go back. I'm like, I'm trying to do my makeup. I'm like, go back to that one. I'm like, oh, right.
I like Barely.
You know, it's just such a, we like to be seen. We want to know we're not the only ones. Tell me I'm not the only one experiencing this thing. Okay, so tell me that I wasn't wrong to take a break, or tell me that I still can do this thing. I did the factor grant thing, you know, in the early 90s for Courage, and here I am going to go do it again, and it's 2020 something.
I know.
And you're like, okay, I can do this. I mean, I'm going to tell you, there's a theme for you, Rosanne. You are bold and brave. Whether you are scared or not.
No, I just figure there isn't anything you can't do if you really want to do it and put your mind to it. But it's work. It's work, and it's persistence, and it's belief in yourself. You have to believe in yourself first. You do. I mean, and then you can ask people around you to believe in you. But if you don't believe in yourself first, like that's another thing with artists. You know, when I'm working with people, I don't want to pull them along. I want to go walk with them.
Right.
It's like they have to be propelled by their own want and kind of know at least an idea of sort of where they're going and what their expectation is for
I
it.
mean, you have to have a belief in yourself. When people talk about, you got to be a little delusional about your vision for yourself, right? Because if you don't believe it, I think some people confuse that with being like prideful. And I'm like, no.
No.
Just understand yourself.
When I'm in the studio with people, sometimes I'll say, you're singing it great. And they're singing it great. But when you're singing it, I want you to think of it as the conversation. You're still going to sing, but you're actually going to be feeling and speaking those words to somebody, because it changes how you deliver it. It's like cooking. Cooking tastes better when you love what you're doing. Cooking doesn't taste so good when you're slapping it together and throw it on the table. But if you really care about something, it makes a difference. So that's with Strong, for instance. That's a perfect example of, was I going to put that out with that kind of anger side? But as soon as I turned it around, I was fine. And then the other song would be Because of Me.
Yeah, I got questions about that song.
Yeah, that was a difficult song. And it's a difficult song for me to explain to people what it's about. But I had to write it. And I like the song. But it's a challenging song. I mean, because I'm not, my publicist, it was funny. She said at one point, I feel like a voyeur listening to your album. She said,
I'm telling you, I was in all of my feels today for whatever reason. I said to my roommate, I was like, I'm having this moment where I'm doing this thing that I've been talking about for 3 years, right? I'm in the middle of it, and I'm getting, I'm getting commentary and feelings back at, and I said, it feels like rain. It feels like 7 years of repairing things, and this feels like rain. It feels like it's just washing over me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I get into your album, which I had listened to. I swear sometimes it's just when you listen to something.
Yeah.
Because the first time I listened to that album, I got stuck on Sorry I'm Late. I wanted to listen to Her Mother's Eyes. And I just kind of skipped around, but I kept going back to Sorry I'm Late because it was touching a chord, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't just allow myself to just really take it. I was like, no, I want to go back, because I get stuck on a song and I got to hear it 80 times.
I'm the same.
I couldn't
on
anyway.
repeat.
But because I was getting ready and I had like 2 hours and I'm doing different things and setting stuff up, I was like, just listen to the whole thing. Just let it come in. Just let it happen. And oh my God, I'm just bawling. I'm like, how am I going to put makeup on? I'm just crying. This is just so much. And I was like, man, I'm sorry you're late. I don't, but I'm not. I'm glad you were right on time. Yeah. You didn't miss your boat. You didn't miss a year. You didn't slide in anything other than the exact right time.
Well, isn't that what
even if it's just for me?
You're exactly where you're supposed to be at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever the reasons are.
Yes.
And it really never is too late. It
isn't.
It's like when people are talking about, well, they're retiring, and I'm like, yeah, but isn't retiring now? You can go, woo woo, I can do what I want a little bit, whatever that is. It's like, you can just be.
You can open that door. You can finally go, okay, now right before I open this door, what do I want this to look like? I want my listeners to listen to this episode and go, this woman, Rosanne Baker Thornley, RBT, literally looked at her life at 8 years old and was like, I'll take this by the horns, and I'll figure out where it needs to go. And when I feel the call of a different direction, I'll turn. I won't go, oh no, because sometimes I feel like we feel like, oh, I should stop, and we get stagnant and we stay. And that's where I was 7 years ago. I decided I was going to sit down and I was going to quit.
Okay.
I was going to quit. I was going to stop trying to live a life that had any meaning or value. I was going to go to work. I was going to finish raising my children. I was done. And I was 42.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, Heather, no.
Yeah.
No. And then a light bulb came on, and then as soon as that one came on, 82 other ones came on. And then I was like, whoa, hold on. There's a whole room of you. What's going on?
Well, sometimes I think you need to sort of step back and just pause and look at it from a different perspective. Really, just take a moment. And it's the same with writing again. It's like, you can be stuck on something. So sometimes, yeah, you just sit your ass in the chair and you just keep figuring it out. But sometimes you walk away and just for some reason, it'll just be, oh, that's it.
Right.
Like, it's just there. It's like, when it's those moments of clarity, there's not lots of them. And you can't hang on to them. You can't hang on to them. They're just there. It's like you can be on a beach doing nothing and everything is so clear for about 30 seconds. So you got it. And just, yeah. But it really, like all those moments that I was talking about, like the video thing, like the song, like it's just, there's those moments and I recognize them and I greatly value them because it's everything just almost just like lining up for a second and going, ping. And you go,
but that's the thing that I want to take. That's what I want to take and go listen to your intuition. Take a moment when you feel the call to go, is this the direction I'm supposed to go? Because I had to open up my mind and heart to different things because I thought that I was that I was like my parents. I'm not really like them in all the ways that I thought that I was. I'm a little bolder. My parents tell a story. My parents are the baby of the family, both of them. Okay. And I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And they had me, and I'm the oldest of 3 girls. And they had me, and I was shocking for so many reasons because I was a very sing-songy, chatty, wild, they thought, fierce being. And I was, everything that I thought every moment of every day. And when I was in 1st grade, I had a teacher who did something to my, fellow student. And I was like, Mrs. Goings, yeah, that wasn't right what you did to Tommy. So I'm going to need you to apologize. And I just waited because I knew that what she said was not, it wasn't right. And I knew it.
Sure.
Because I'd been taught what was right and what was wrong. I was very, very much about what was right and what was wrong. Right. And I wanted to help her out because I felt like it was important to apologize. And my teacher did not take that well.
Huh.
And a whole letter went home to my parents, and my parents looked at each other and they were like, would you hit that? And my dad's like, not even in high school. Like they were so blown away that I would speak up. And I'm like, but that is me. Yeah. I am a very bold person. And so for the majority of my life, I was like, no, you can be more demure. You just be more polite. And I was like, I'm plenty polite. Yeah. But I don't let people walk all over other people. No. And I speak up for those that need a voice sometimes. Sure. And but that's who I am. And I need to own that.
Oh, for sure.
I need to be proud of the way that I am and operate in that space. And so I hope that's what people got. There's so many other things that we could have talked about. We still need to talk about your album and the slow release.
I'm okay. I'm good.
The slow release of your that you're doing for your
all the
singles, which I just love. The music videos that you're doing, or would you call them music videos?
Yeah, music videos. Yeah,
that you're doing for that, and then we'll do the little questions at the end. Okay, let's talk about Sorry I'm Late. You did end up getting, I'm going to help the story a little. You did end up getting the Factor grant again, which I don't even know how possible that is, or probable that is. But you got the Factor grant again.
I did.
You recorded Sorry I'm Late.
Yep.
Which has how many songs on this album?
I think there's 11 songs on it.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds right.
That's a lot of songs.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's a lot of songs.
I love Barely. I love Sorry I'm Late. I loved Look Up, which you
Oh
have
yeah.
Northeaston on
Yeah.
there, which you talked about him earlier.
Yeah.
Co-writer, featured vocalist. I have a
Yeah.
list of all of your people here in my
Yeah.
corner. Um, that gave me kind of Harry Styles has a song called Fine Line, and it kind of reminded me of that. He has the tagline at the
Mm,
very end of that song is "We'll be all right,
right.
we'll be all right, we'll be all
Right.
right." Like just like this reminder, just
Look up.
look up,
Yeah.
just
Well, I have it tattooed on my arm because it's actually was written around the notion of my daughter when she was in New York, and she would call me, and she's quiet, she's quiet, and she wasn't out all the time. She was in a ballet program down there, and so she wasn't out at night because she had to be up early in the morning, go to school. And she'd call and she'd say, "Oh, just kind of, I'm back at the dorm and it's kind of quiet tonight and feeling a little lonely." And I said, "Go to the window." And I said, "Now, is the moon out?" "Yeah." "Now look up at the moon. I'm looking at the same moon at you as you are
mm,
at the same time." So that's what inspired that song, Look Up.
I
Was
just
that?
loved it. One More Line.
That is the next one that, oh my goodness.
Ooh.
I have all
Ooh,
my,
ooh, that's love. I was like, oh, I cannot wait to play this for him. I was like, now when you get away from him, I want you to play this song to him. He's gonna touch the spine of your book. You gonna pick up right where you left off. I was like, I cannot listen to this right now. This is not the right
yeah,
time to listen
one
to this.
more line. Yeah. And
So good.
I'm now just putting together all the pieces for that. There's a video for it that's all shot in the studio. It's me singing, Ben Pelshed, who engineered it, and Will Scholar. He produced it, but I think was he over in England at the time when we did that song? Anyway, I've got all the pieces. I talk about, I love the duality of songs. So there's a perfect example of a song that has my books in it.
Yes.
It has the sensual sort of relationship between a reader and the book. But it
Yes.
also, and I've written this in my sort of verbiage that I'm going to be sharing. It also speaks to my relationship with Northeastern and our writing relationship, and in that we would spend all day writing with people. That's all we did. We worked from whatever in early in the morning till late at night, and then he would stay here on weekends once a month, and that was our time to write. So now we've got, well, let's say it's 10 o'clock at night. And we're like, okay, you ready to do some writing? Just the two of us. We're going to write our own stuff. We're like, yep, I'm ready. I'm always ready, right? Always ready. I say, don't use me as an example of, how long it should go, because I'm like, I'm good. So we would literally write sometimes almost all night until the sun came up. But we would start working on a song, and about the repetitive thing of singing something over and over and over.
Hmm.
We'd find our hook and we just keep singing it over and over and over, and we'd just be falling asleep. We go, okay, just one more time, just one more line, and that we'll call it a night. So that is nice for me, that it is a song we co-wrote. It really speaks to how we wrote a lot of times, and that sort of very emotional attachment we had for each other. And the fact that he's singing on it as well.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's one more line. Yeah.
Her Mother's Eyes should be played at every single wedding. Could there be a dance for the mom and the
I know.
daughter? Or just a moment
No.
pre-makeup? But
Oh,
that was
that's next up. That
such
is
a beautiful. Oh,
that's
that's the next up for the
for
video?
video. For video, yeah. You would love the storyboard. It's beautiful. It's
That'd be
just
another
beautiful.
great thing to see. Maybe we just need to do a series.
Yeah.
Series with RBC. Next, we're going to do storyboards. The next thing we're going to talk about is
I'm
marketing.
sorry.
How to do. No, I love it. I think it's
Oh,
great.
it's
You have a
crazy though.
wealth. Is a wealth of. No, this is how we talked for 3 hours the
Yeah,
first
I
time. I
know.
was like, check the time. This is not. We're doing this together.
Well, a friend of mine, I went to a good friend of mine. Her daughter was Taylor's best friend. My daughter's best friend was getting married. We went to Wales for the wedding, and the mom, she's getting a makeup put on, and all I said was, "Did you happen to listen to Her Mother's Eyes?" And she
Would you
started
like to rip your guts
bawling
out and start
with her
crying?
makeup, and she was like, "Rosanne." It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah. It's even Mark Kelso, who played drums on it. He said, "I don't remember the last time I cried during a song." He said, I know you want me to play drums on this. And I love the drumming. The drums are like spectacular. He's such a phenomenal drummer. And he said, but I don't want to get in the way of it. He said, I know you want me to play and I know it should have drums, but I don't want to be in the way of it. He said, because it's just, he has a daughter, right? And so
Oh
it's
yeah, so he
as
was
much
like, oh.
for men listening to it as, oh, okay. So I was at a party a few weeks ago and the guy was standing beside me and we were listening to a whole bunch of different artists. And he said, oh, we'll play something of yours. And so the guy in charge said, oh, well, let's play Her Mother's Eyes. So here's this guy standing beside me, this grown man standing there listening to the lyrics. And all of a sudden he's standing there crying. And I'm
I
like,
love it so much.
I know. So
I just love emotion. Emotion just,
I know it's good.
ooh, it feels
It's
good.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so you have released how many videos for how many singles so far?
I don't know. Is there 5? I think there might be 5. But there's also my biopic, which came out before the album, which was all about I just said I need to do something so people don't think I'm starting my career now. I need to say
I love that.
there's some context.
Like, there's some backstory to this.
Yeah, it's not I've decided now to be an artist. It's like, no, this is.
Although that would be great too.
Oh yeah, it would be great too, but it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of story behind.
Yes,
So that's
there
what I
is.
talked about. It's amazing what you do when you're not afraid of failing.
Yeah.
And it's also, it really isn't too late to do anything.
And I do want the young people to be inspired. Like, don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid.
Oh,
like, and
yeah.
if people are making fun of you for messing up or not being perfect,
Yeah.
they're just jealous because they're not doing anything.
That's true. No, it's very true.
So just let it go and just focus and look inwards and have really good people around you. You have an amazing team. Will Scholar, who is also your son-in-law, your producer, Ben, how do you say his last name? Pelchat.
Yeah.
Your mixing engineer, Mark Kelso, you talked about with the drums. Kevin Fox did your cello.
On Give Me One More Night.
And Northeaston was co-writer with you. That's when you're talking about the lovely One More Line.
And Look Up.
And Vezi
Teab. So he owns the studio, Kensington Sound, which is the studio I would probably have you visit. It's been here for 50 years.
Yes.
That is, just 50 years of a studio in the music business is phenomenal. So it's probably the oldest studio in Canada. And it's in Kensington Market, which is a very cool area in Toronto. And so he engineered. He's funny because he's so busy and he's been doing this forever. And he just keeps trying to get a few days in the country. He's just swamped with stuff. But he did engineer some of the album as well, which was great.
And then Andy
Krem, who was that when I was talking about my manager producer, who years ago I said, I'm pregnant. He is
still working with.
He's done work with me for the past many years now, mastering. He moved away from recording and producing into mastering, which is kind of like the final finesse of an album.
Finishing touches.
It is. It's like I call it like the sparkle.
Like I don't even understand. I need to have more understanding of what that sounds like. I understand technically what it means, but
it gives it more oomph. It gives it certain sound. It makes it finished. So,
and then Michael Rycraft,
and he is a graphic designer who's worked on many, many albums up here, like hundreds. And he passed just before my album came out. But I used to call him, and I always wanted to work with him. And I thought, you know what? If I ever do an album, I'm going to get Michael to design my cover because I love what he does. Great person. And I called him and said, would you work on my album? And so, of course, he listens to the album over and over and over. And every time I call him, he says, I'm crying again. I am crying again. He loves Sorry I'm Late. He loved Sorry I'm Late, to the point where he actually went online 6 months, I think, before the album was even out. He'd done most of the work. He'd done everything. And he said, it's funny, how you do things and you don't know what the future holds. But he posted a whole thing saying, this is one of my favorite albums in the past 25 years. This is something everybody needs to own, he said. And then I have that comment from him, and then he passed just before it came out. And he had said, "Oh, don't worry, you had one more thing to do." And he said, "Don't worry, I'll do it as soon as I get out of the hospital." Never got out of the hospital. So anyway, that's Michael Wyckoff.
So that's your team.
Yeah. That's my audio team.
I want to hear.
Small but mighty.
I want to see it all.
Small but mighty.
Okay, we're going to wrap this beautiful little conversation. We are going to put a beautiful pin, but there's no way that we can say goodbye forever, because that just will not work, because there's so much more that you could teach me and the listeners. I can pretend this is for the listeners. I really am. Like
that's good.
Well, it is.
But it is. It's for everybody.
It is. It's for them. It's for me. It's for you. For you to remember how freaking amazing you are, and get up and be like, "Damn, I have done some stuff."
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna do our little rapper. We're gonna do our rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay.
And this is where I'm gonna have my little boo boo, some kind of little doo doo boo boo.
Got to work on
something. And it's going to happen as soon as I figure out how to have my piano in here. This will be the part where I'll be messing around, but we haven't figured that out yet. What would be your ideal vacation? What you do, or where you go, or both?
You know what I'd like to do right now? This isn't it. It's just what's in my brain right now. An ideal vacation would be for me. I would love to go. I've been to Italy. I've been to many places, but I would love to go to Tuscany and just be there for a month in one place and just wander around the neighborhood, talk to people, go to the cafe, maybe go to a couple places on day trips, but just be part of which of course is so me, just be part of the environment.
Oh, I am so with you on that.
Yeah, that's it.
So incredible.
Okay.
What is your favorite concert that you've ever been to, and why? And what's an artist that you would like to see in concert in the future?
Oh boy, favorite concert. And
it doesn't have to be like the biggest artist that you've ever seen, but just something memorable.
Something extremely memorable. Well, it's not so memorable if I'm having a hard time trying to remember it. There's a first.
None of them, actually.
There's a first. You know, I gotta say, I went to see, is it Sasha Sloan in concert here? And I very much enjoyed it because it was very authentic and very real and very down to earth. And there wasn't, the emphasis wasn't on production. The emphasis was on the music and the songs, and just her presence on the stage was just very natural. So I got to say, I very much enjoyed that. Yeah.
Okay. And who would you like to see perform?
There's so much I'd like to see. But it's pretty diverse. I mean, I'm all over the place when I listen to music. It's not
okay. Well, give me a couple then.
I see a lot of my own friends in concert.
Okay, and shout them out.
Well, no, it's like, again, Marshall. It's
Marshall Dade.
Just the energy of the show and watching the people connect with him. That's
I really would like to see him perform. I really would. I imagine it is electrifying.
Yeah, because you can definitely tell he doesn't preach, but he definitely has a certain energy about him when he's talking to people and sharing stories.
Yeah. There's
just people are very captured by that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay. Overrated and underrated holiday, like Christmas or Easter.
Overrated. Oh, what did I think what I thought was, I love the notion of Valentine's Day, but I think it's just a little over the top with
too commercial.
It becomes too commercial, which I think takes away what it's supposed to mean a little bit. It's like roses are now $120 a dozen instead. Yeah. And there's the pressure. Yeah. It's the pressure to perform and, and to be, he got me this. No. Underrated. So that's overrated.
Yeah.
Underrated. Perhaps. Oh yeah. Family Day. I think there needs to be more emphasis on Family Day, but it might have to take a bit of a different shape and actually be families spending some time together and not having to go somewhere, do something. Just, again, just be. Just be.
Just be.
Yeah.
Just be with family.
Yeah.
I love that. Weird food combo, or, because not everybody has a weird food combo, or favorite indulgence, like, I don't know, you like key lime pie or an eclair.
Okay, favorite salad, because I just had it again. Cantaloupe, cucumber, goat cheese, red onions, and pumpkin seeds that are done in like a chipotle spice and sprinkled on top with the lime olive oil dressing.
Okay, there's
It's
gonna have to
so
be
good.
they're gonna have to be a recipe in the notes, in the comments. Somebody's gonna
It's
be
so
like, "How do
good.
I make that salad?
Oh,
I
it's
want
so
that
good.
salad."
So good.
Okay. Um, Personality pet peeve, or something that you just find really cringe, gives you the ick.
Mm. Well, nothing that comes to mind off the top of top of mind, but what I do think is my number one rule with people in life is just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, I love that.
It's really simple. It's just a really simple.
Yeah.
Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be that hard.
But for some people, it is so hard.
It's just think about who's in front of you or whatever. I don't
Put
get it.
yourselves in their put yourself in their shoes just for like a second.
Just for a second. No time. Make it
Okay.
crazy.
What is the kindest thing anyone has ever said or done for you?
Well, still what comes to mind is Dale, who's works on my strategy, and he's a friend. And we worked, we spent a lot of time talking about what I want to do and how I want to do it and all of that. And was it before, might have been before I did the album. I was just about to do the album. And I was just like, it's a constant, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's tiring. And there's always people going, yeah, you can do it. Rah, rah, you can do it. And I said to him, I feel like I'm in a swimming pool. And there's people on the sides and they're all cheering me on. And I'm swimming to them, I'm trying to get to the other side. I am trying, but I'm getting really tired. And all they're doing is cheering me on, but nobody's throwing me a rope. And he said, I'm throwing you a rope. And I just remember that. It was none of those moments again, right? I went, huh, yeah. So anyway, he's been very supportive and great through all of this, and yeah, just keeping me sane at times.
Which is important. We need people to ground us.
Yeah,
Like, Rosanne, get outside and touch grass. You're
yeah.
gonna be okay.
No, it's true, right? Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
If you don't have those people, I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like those are the people that are coming off the rails, and they don't have the proper support system. And it's like,
No,
you don't just need people around you who you're like, you're awesome, you're so great, you're so wonderful.
no,
You also need people like,
honest.
okay, you're being weird. What's going on
Yeah,
right
no,
now?
for
Like,
sure.
what do we need to do to get you to, like, you don't seem, whatever it is, and I'm saying this out of love, not out of judgment,
Yeah,
but you need those people to go, okay,
perspective.
you're being a little,
Yeah.
delulu, and not in a good way.
But you
So,
definitely have to find your people. You got to
yes.
find your people that you trust. You have to have
Right.
people around you trust. You can't be second guessing everybody all the time. I mean, the downside of an entrepreneur is when an entrepreneur says, I can do it all myself. Well, you can, but not really, because it's just exhausting. So I love trusting people. I love working with people who know
Ooh,
things I don't know. It's like,
I love trusting people.
well, it's like if you think about my audio team, for instance, right? Or just anybody, when you're working in a team with people, the producer is so focused on production. They're into the music only dogs can hear kind of stuff. Did you hear that DB? You know what I mean? Did you hear that DB? No, I didn't hear it. Well, anyway, we got to fix it. Okay. I'm sitting there going, I don't know. Do you think they should say if or where there? I mean, I'm into that minutia. It's the minutia.
Right.
The singer's like, okay, what about that note? And the guitar player's going, oh, so I love I love my team because everybody has their minutia. And when we all sit together in a room to work on something, we trust each other. There's a trust there. It's not yeah, it's just finding your people. You got to find your team.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna do this forever. Okay, what I feel like you've already given me this, but what are your words to live by?
Oh, what are my words to live by? I guess it's, you know what?
Right now, just right now.
Just be kind.
Yeah.
Kind, and I mean, and not to yourself as well.
Yeah.
Cut yourself some slack sometimes, and make some mistakes. I saw a sign one day. I loved it. It said, "Bad decisions make better stories."
They do.
You know, it's like I took a picture of it and I thought, I love that.
That
Bad
needs to be a
decisions make
t-shirt.
better stories. Yeah.
I do often. I am known for, I mean, it would make a good story. And that's how I decide a lot of the things that I do.
Yeah.
I am so grateful that this time we at least got it. We tried so hard, 75 to 90 minutes. We tried so hard.
That's okay.
It may still have to be a two-parter.
How are we
We're
doing?
at 2 hours.
Oh, that's okay. I'm okay.
I'm so appreciative. I have enjoyed you immensely. I feel like we're just headed to a beautiful, beautiful friendship for the hours that I have spent with you. I find your knowledge intoxicating.
Oh,
I am so overwhelmed with joy just to hear your responses to anything that I could think of, because you just have such a beautiful presence and delivery, and you're such a good communicator. And I feel like it'll be really easy and really enjoyable for the listeners when I get this two-part.
yeah.
This two-parter. This will be a two-parter. Anyway, I will continue on and on forever. Thank you so much for giving me another opportunity.
Oh, no problem. It's been great talking to you. I love talking to you. I really do. I mean, it's comfortable, as it should be. It
Yes.
should be a
Hallelujah.
conversation, and it goes over here. It's fine. Pull it back. It goes there. Okay, whatever.
I listen, I love this format so much that somebody would be hard pressed to talk me out of it. I hope that as you're continuing to release these songs, that you continue to touch your audience in the way that only you can, with the lyrics that you have so beautifully crafted. And this album is so incredible. I'm so glad that I got to enjoy it again today in a different mindset. If you've listened to her album before, sorry, I'm late, go listen to it again. You're going to be in a different mindset. You're going to feel a different way. There's going to be a different song that grabs you, pulls you, sits you down, cuddles you up with a blanket, or maybe you're going to feel a little bit beat up. I don't know. Whatever it is, so incredibly wonderful. Thank you for your time today.
Oh, and thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you again.